So I'd like to share with you some of the data from Proposition 36 to help you recognize why what's happening in Hawaii is quite extraordinary. Every year in California, about 60,000 offenders are arrested on crimes that make them eligible for sentencing under Proposition 36. About 20% of those guys, about 12,000 of them, will say no thank you. They have a get out of jail free card and they say no thank you. And there's usually two reasons for that. The one is, so this is this group from 60,000, we lose about 12,000, and they say no thank you because if in most counties, if you're arrested with marijuana, just do it. Just take the sentencing as usual. Sentencing as usual would typically mean a fine of about $140 for marijuana. That's not a bad deal for most people. They take it rather than being sentenced to treatment and someone making you go to a treatment provider 3 days a week for 6 months, which can be a real hassle. So we lose a lot of the really small fish over here. They don't want to take the sentencing under Proposition 36. Other guys who have been in the system before, they've been to jail before, they've been to prison before, think, okay, well, the judge is going to sentence me for, maybe I have had a methamphetamine arrest, and the judge is going to sentence me to 30 days or 60 days. If I'm in Los Angeles, those of you who don't know, we currently serve about 10% of our time. So if you're arrested and the judge sentences you to 30 days, you're going to spend 3 days behind bars. So for many of them, a 3-day or a 6-day stint in LA County Jail sounds better than 6 months of mandatory treatment. So we lose a lot of them for that. For those of you who, I haven't preached this before, in the Paris Hilton debacle happened, you remember that a couple of years ago? I always talk about this. She was given 45 days in jail. She served 5 of them, and the community was outraged, so they sent her back in to serve 45 days. She's the only person I know of who had a 45-day sentence and spent 45 days in jail. Talk about justice being blind. All right, that really does happen. Justice is I think what they was trying to punish her for her narcissism more than her actual underlying crime. So we have these individuals, 12,000 are lost here, and then look what happens. At this stage, you've accepted, you said to the judge before you, I accept Proposition 36 and all the conditions attached to that, which includes complying with the terms of my probation, and it includes going to and completing a community treatment program. Well, this is what happens. At this stage, you now refer to treatment, but 85% are actually assessed, so 15% of them disappear, poof, gone. They either abscond or they're rearrested, and now they're back in the system. They get assessed, they're told where to go to, now they actually have to go to treatment. Well, look, poof, we lose another big bunch of them, disappear, they abscond or they're arrested again. So at the end of the day, when we follow the pipeline, about 25% of people who are actually referred to this program finish the treatment to which they are mandated. 75% of them are lost between the cracks. Now you might be asking me, well, what happens to those people who fall between the cracks? Well, under California law, there's only a few things we can do with you. The most common thing we can do with you is look the other way, and that's what probation officers tend to do. The modal response, and for my stats students, you know what that means. It's the most common response to a survey asking these guys what happened to you when you did not comply was, nothing happened. That's a very bad way to manage offenders because they're very quick studies. When they hear that nothing happens, they're much more likely to do what they're not supposed to do, and they really want to do anyway. All right, so nothing happens was a very common response. The other option available to the law, under the law, is if you're arrested on a new drug charge, you come in, and obviously you're failing the condition of your probation, you're not allowed to keep using. Our judges have this option, and what they have the option of is to sentence you back to treatment. So judges are quite limited. You have 2 strikes, very few probation officers will even make that effort to have these guys go back. All ladies, there's a bunch of ladies also go back before the judges. Right, so we're failing in terms of compliance. We don't motivate people to go to treatment, and we don't make them comply. They're violating left, right, and center the conditions of probation, and we have absolutely no ounce of truth in sentencing. We don't follow up. We let them do what they want, and then we're surprised when the outcomes look bad. How are we doing on the treatment side? Well, if we have a law that mandates everybody to treatment, everybody has to receive treatment. With this kind of approach, everybody gets a little bit of nothing, because it has to go all the way around. And this is what happened. About 85% of the Prop 36ers go to outpatient treatment. Now, why this is a strange result is that the individuals who actually end up in Prop 36 have very serious drug use problems, much higher than anybody ever expected when the law was passed. Looking at treatment profiles before and after the law was implemented, I can show you for higher severity offenders, and there are many of them, the quality of treatment dramatically fell after Prop 36 was implemented. There just wasn't enough treatment resources to go around, spread too thin. So they're not getting great treatment, which is one of the reasons why they're flunking out, and they're not being forced to comply, another reason why they're flunking out. So why are they doing so badly, we might ask, and this is what the advocacy groups will tell you. The advocacy groups, and I know this because they've told me, we're not giving them enough opportunity to succeed. They have transportation issues. They have childcare issues. They have all these other problems in their lives that get in the way of them going to treatment or behaving and not using and doing all these other things that the law has told them to do. So we tested this. We asked the drug treatment providers who work very closely with these offenders and who by and large really love the guys that come to them, and ladies. So what are the primary reasons why these offenders are dropping out of the programs and not doing what they're supposed to do? 19% said transportation issues, 17% said conflicts with work, housing problems. Here's the family childcare issues, about 18%. Look at this. Unwilling to comply, not motivated. Even the treatment providers are saying there's a real motivation issue here. These guys aren't complying under our current method of managing them. But this is the dominant problem, and this is where the governor is getting fed up. The name of this law, it's called Proposition 36, and that's how it appeared on the ballot when you voted it in. The name of the law is the Substance Abuse and Crime Prevention Act. Notice the Prevention Act. What I want to show you here is that it should be retitled as the Substance Abuse and Crime Creation Act, because this is what happened. The red line is a perfectly matched comparison group just before the law was implemented. This is the level of arrests of new charges of the comparison group. We're talking large. My comparison group is 100,000 people big. They are perfectly matched. There are no differences between these individuals. Well, this isn't working out very well. This anemic yellow bar over here are those people who were referred but were untreated. The anemic blue bar are those who entered but didn't complete. And then here are the goody two-shoes. The green bar, the people who made it all the way, 25% have made it all the way through the treatment program. Notice that even our blue-eyed boys are being arrested more than the comparison group. Even the best guys in this program who are doing what they're supposed to do are doing worse. This is a very embarrassing result for a program that was implemented as a crime reduction strategy. Well, as a result, the governor started getting mad, and some of the senators up in Sacramento said, this is enough. We're not helping anybody. When we have treatment completion rates that are like 25%, these guys are getting arrested, they eventually end up back in prison anyway. Who are we kidding ourselves? Maybe the soft hand here isn't the helpful hand. Senator Cheney was one of our brave senators who proposed what's called Senate Bill 1137, and this would have allowed jail sanctions to be used if someone wasn't complying with the terms of their probation. This would have permitted brief, it's called flash incarceration, very brief jail stays. They were requesting stays of about 2 to 7 days if someone violated. And what happened? Well, the advocacy groups were furious about this, and very quickly a court injunction was issued, and the governor in response to that said, that's fine, but I'm just going to cut your funding. So now the money gets whittled away, and the kinds of treatment you can provide gets even worse and worse and worse, so it's a vicious circle of badness. Alright, the peril of the pendulum. If you listen to the advocacy groups talk, one of the big problems, and I think many people think of this tension as follows, that we have the good guys over here, and they're the treatment providers. And we have the bad guys over here, and they're the criminal justice community, the judges and the probation officers and the cops. And that somehow there's this big tension between them, and they all want different things. That the cops want to fill up the prisons, and the treatment providers want to help people. Well, it turns out everybody you speak with, if you speak carefully and actually really listen to what they say, recognizes that we need both parts. We need the providers to provide the care. We need the cops and law enforcement to motivate them sufficiently so that they stay and receive the care. And without both, we don't have to have one or the other. We really need to settle somewhere in between. And in California, we have these huge swings. We're either here or we're here. We've never tried anything over here. This is what Hawaii managed to get right. So interviewing the treatment providers, over 80% of them said the best way to improve outcomes in Proposition 36 is to actually give a jail sanction. Let them have that flash incarceration. Let them come to be motivated to succeed. Otherwise, I can't do anything with them. Many of the treatment providers are really quite concerned about them even being in their treatment groups because they tend to spoil the bunch.